And we'll get this broadcast underway. Look at this cold fucking hell. Hey, where are we? Right, good afternoon, folks. Hey, how's it going today? It's the two Davies on the 25th of the 1st, 2024. Now, well, that reminds me, I better let the other Davy in, but we'll just say that the other Davy is here today. He's in the green room. I just left him there to say he's feeling a wee bit delicate about me calling him sick note, folks. So lay off a sick note, will you? Anyway, his doctor's telling me he's not getting any more fucking sick notes. He's to get back to fucking work. All right, so we better let him in, huh? Here he comes.
You. Yeah. Can I just say a real heartfelt thanks for all the best wishes that you've been giving me. I wrote a wee post the other day there to try and explain to you what's been going on and all the rest of it, right? So yeah, great. However, even though I'm due to get this operation, I've still got a major project down in Bristol going ahead. And that kicks off on the 5th of February. So I'm not getting a sick note for that one. In actual fact, if I don't do that one, I could end up in court for a long, long time. Anyway, there you go.
Right, anyway, here we go. It's the two Davies, the 25th of the 4th, 2024. Welcome back, David.
Thank you.
And we'll just give the Facebookers a chance to get in the door. And then we'll go on. Let's have a look and see who's in. Right, we've got Margaret, we've got Aki's, Stevie, Brian here. Wee Bird. Who else we got? Martin Boyd, Ali Watson. Hi Ali. Hi Evelyn. Hi Lorraine King. Rebecca McDougall. Miles McLachlan. Sandra Miller. Millie Jameson. Vince Gilmore. Who else we got? Lorraine Hay. We've Pet. The Lefty Bolter. Chris Fisher. Hi Gingers. They're there in America. Good morning. Hi Kevin. Right, we're getting Facebookers in here. And the first of the Facebookers I can see here was Paul Fulton. So good afternoon, folks. We're up there at 100 mark.
David, just so we were discussing this prior to the programme, just to let you all know, I won't be here on Monday because I've got a meeting with the consultant, right? Right. But I will try to make sure that I'm on for the programme next Thursday. But then for the week after that, I'll be down in Bristol, and it's just not possible, the circumstance that I've got.
And probably the week after that, you're on the butcher's knife, so you're not going to be around much for the next couple.
We don't know that. He could schedule it for 3 months, 4 months away. I don't know the guy's diary, right? So at the end of the day, we'll just take it as it comes. All right?
Right, okay. Right. UK COVID inquiry in Scotland. What have you made here?
I think they're having a bit of a go, aren't they? Over Nicola, over the emails, and Humza for not deleting what was on his phone and all the rest of it. It's all about.
I say it's really quite funny. We've got Sturgeon. She's getting stick for emails this time.
Yeah.
They know nothing. They know the scary one about WhatsApp messages. Just no sticking.
Yeah. The truth of it is, we've got a situation where the COVID inquiry hasn't gone very well for those down in London, has it? Right?
No, and
they're trying to point to us and go, oh, well, what about that shower of scum up there? You know.
Aye, that's it. It's another divert attention. Yeah. Anyway, as we know, the First Minister's appearing before the day. But I mean, what's been drawn out this week so far? We've got Professor Mark Woodhouse, a member of the Scottish COVID-19 Advisory Group, telling inquiry hundreds may have died due to the message protect the NHS. So basically, people weren't going to get diagnosed with problems that they had because the message was, don't go near the NHS at this point in time, they're overwhelmed. So So Professor Woodhouse says that hundreds of people may have died because of that message.
Also, you've got to remember that as we got further into the pandemic, you had people who didn't want to go near a hospital because there was stories of people going into hospital for a broken leg or whatever, getting COVID and dying.
Right.
You know, so seriously, there were people that just didn't want to go near a hospital. So yeah, I hear what the professor's saying, but there were other reasons as well. Yeah.
Aye. The other thing the good professor said is...
Thank you. Super chat.
Thanks, Scott. The other thing the good professor had to say was, as the pandemic approached, the Scottish government froze.
Yeah.
It bottled it.
Yeah.
But I think we can say the same down that road as well, actually. I mean, Bojo didn't take it serious at all. He didn't show up for the first 5 programme meetings.
Yeah.
You know, and of course, a bit of stushy about WhatsApp messages which have been submitted to the inquiry to Nicola Sturgeon to Liz Lloyd. And what's that stushy about? Well, apparently, when Nicola was talking to Liz Lloyd, our advisor, she said that COVID was a fucking clown. And this has come up in the COVID inquiry. Right, what else is Professor Mark Woodhouse going to say? What he's going to say is that the lockdown was too late, so it was pointless.
Mm-hmm. And whose fault was that?
Oh, of course, that's the Westminster government's fault. They didn't deal with them. They didn't
Nicholas
behave in the
his
way.
own record is having barracked them to come on. We need a lockdown here to protect people, right? And he basically just shook his head and went no. So we got right through to the 16th of March of 2020, I think it was, and that was the first of the lockdown that we needed.
He then said a couple of other things that were interesting. He said because the lockdown was so late, there was no point in shutting schools, and there was certainly no point in restricting people's outdoor activity because apparently COVID doesn't transmit very well outdoors.
To be honest with you, I find it shameful that somebody in that position should talk about not shutting down schools. We later found out that schools were like a petri dish.
Well, what you telling the inquiry with schools weren't a lot of petri dish.
Well,
who is Professor Woodhouse? Professor Woodhouse is an eminent infectious diseases and epidemiology expert at Edinburgh University.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we put up Kevin's thing there? It's a good comment, that, and he's just saying what has been said from Professor Whitty.
Yeah, man.
Kevin Rowling. You see it, David?
No, not really.
He's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 now. He's down 8. Well, I'll read you what he said. Kevin Rowling says, Professor Whitty said the English medical profession looks to Scotland's NHS for advice and guidance. Also, the one thing that I've been thrust away at is the fact that it's the reporting system that we've got in Scotland that is so much more accurate. And what we've found is, at that time, the newspapers were pointing to Scotland and going, oh, look at the infection rate. When in actual fact, it was just that our Scottish NHS professionals were correctly reporting what the cause of death was. They might have said, the failure to the lungs, but we went on to say what the cause was COVID. That was it. All right.
Hi, Elizabeth in Gran Canaria, lucky get.
Aye, very nice.
Right, now, Professor Gregor Smith also appeared in front of the inquiry, and he was criticised for telling his staff to delete WhatsApp messages and social media messages at the end of each day after transcribing anything of any relevance into the official records.
Yeah.
This takes us back to what I was talking about on Monday, David. You know, this idea that the Scottish government had Scottish Parliament guidance on the use of social media. It's no rules. It's just guidance. And that's why this whole stooshy about WhatsApp and things like that's a dead cat at the table. I've already explained that. Gary, noticed it. Watch your arse in the candle. Now, one of the things it's prompted the Scottish Parliament to do is to review social media use by parliamentarians and ministers. And as far as I'm concerned, social media should not be used for it at all.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, this is the right thing that's coming out of the inquiry. Is actually a change of procedure to maybe help things in the future, right? Whereas the COVID inquiry down in London is being used as a way to actually point fingers everywhere else and go, oh, well, we did this, but they did that.
So, as well as a review into social media, we've also got Jason Leach. And this is just absolute nonsense. They're trying to claim that the chief clinician, Professor Jason Leach, was actually giving ministers advice on how to bypass mask rules. This is a claim that Humza Yousaf asked about masks. The rules were changing all the time. And he asked about the protocol of wearing masks in parties. Apparently, Mr. Leach said to him, oh, you need to lift your mask to take a drink. And that's been interpreted as, oh, if you've got a glass under your gob, it's all right. Don't need a mask. That's what's been interpreted from that. You know, absolutely mental. The press coverage up here has been absolutely atrocious. But it is an election year, and everything is bad up in Scotland right now. Yeah, everything's been bad in Scotland since the minute we had the nerve to stick our head above the parapet and say we want to leave this bloody union.
Yeah. You'll see much more of that, guys. You'll see much more of that. It's going to be a nasty, dirty election, and we will be on the receiving end. I can assure you.
Now this one, David, this one made me smile, and it's why I've added it. And it is, of course, a topic here in Scotland at the moment, and that is the Greens go to war with Ineos over threatened closure of Grangemouth refinery. Right, the Green MSP for Central Scotland, Gillian Mackay, says workers have been treated terribly, and that the threat to close the plant had the whole town of Grangemouth trembling. Now, apparently, there are to be 400 jobs to go at Grangemouth anyway, because the plant at Grangemouth will be importing refined fuel as opposed to refining it itself. Mm-hmm. It's to become an import hub for pre-refined fuels. So 400 to be. But the thing that confused me about this one was, why would a Green MSP be opposed to the closing down of a fucking smelly, dirty, carbon-producing refinery?
I'm sure they have an answer.
Well, she's up 200 years away from it, apparently, and it's the heart. It's the beating heart of the town. Now, we know what happened with towns where they had the single industries at their beating hearts. We've seen what happened with the closure of the coal industry. You know, where whole towns were decimated. Some never ever recovered.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, I lived down in the northeast at the time that all that was going on with the coal, and I actually saw towns up the east coast. You would think to yourself, has everybody died? That was it. You know, it was dreadful. But the thing about it is that still in all, Scotland will have to process raw oil, crude oil, right? And it is a mission critical thing at the moment for that to go on. We might want to phase out the oil and gas industry in favour of the renewables, but it ain't going to happen over a fortnight.
Well, it's going to happen over 30, 40 years.
Yes, that's right.
And then, of course, we'll still probably use oils for things like medicines and furniture and things like that. Thanks, Margaret.
Thanks, Margaret.
Happy birthday, happy Burns. We're going to leave that at the end to say happy Burns Day, everybody. But hey, there you go, Margaret's done it for us. Thanks, Margaret.
Thanks, Margaret.
So, I was just I thought, this is interesting. we've got a green MSP going to war with Ineos, who are the threat to close the Ineos plant. I thought, surely that's fucking a leap right off the edge of a cliff, that one.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to mention it, David, because I was just it doesn't make any sense to me. No.
No, but the backstory to it is, of course, is that Mr. Ratcliffe has bought part of Manchester United, hasn't he? So therefore, he's got a net like Elon Musk did with the X this week. He's got to raise funds to cover that. So therefore, what you might do is wave the flag out there and go, right, I want to sell this blooming Grangemouth operation I've got, or I might do something different with it or whatever. It's to invite other investors into the pile.
Right, apparently 153 watching us on YouTube, so that leaves 47 watching us on Facebook. Guys on YouTube, hit the like button, please. Apparently there's only 51 likes for 153 in the chat.
Yeah.
Like buttons all help. Hitting the like button helps the algorithm, helps us raise more money for food banks. So hit that like button, please. And it's the same in all way if you're on YouTube and you're sharing it across your social media platforms. That increases figures and that encourages advertisers as well.
Yes. Okay. These days we're trying not to swear. We're trying to be rather nice. Stop it.
Right, so Green's at war with Ineos. I just thought that was funny. Right, let's move on. UK government to launch advert to convince Scots the value of the union. Let's have a wee look at it, David. Stick it on.
Okay.
This will be getting flashed over our tellies constantly at the fucking general election, folks. So David will put it up and I'll put it on and we'll have a wee look at what they're coming after as we. I also noticed that Deirdre Brock was demanding answers on why spending at the Scotland office has tripled in the last 3 years. It's probably £3 million. What the fuck is it they're doing in there?
Yeah, well, because I've watched it once before. There we go. I'll just bring it up.
Stick it in the green room. I'll pull it up.
Yeah,
you can tell the professionalism at work here, folks. Yeah, see if we can work out with the green room.
Yeah, there it's going into the green room now.
Okay, I'll stick it up.
To start.
Right, here we go.
Right.
2.7 billion levelling up fund for new families deals during the economy side, the discoveries made by Scottish scientists, space sector. Anyway, apart from the shite soundtrack in the back end, folks, these are all the claims that they're making. Not fucking one thing of them have come to pass since 2014, but it is actually going to be warped on our television sets, and it's important that we're equipped to combat it. Next time you put something with shite music on, mute the fucking thing so we can read it.
I thought it was quite catchy.
It's quite catchy. It was, if you're fucking tone deaf.
Yeah. The strapline
I agree with you,
of the movie.
That noise was fucking horrendous. So was the ad, actually. The ad was an abomination.
Hang on, the strapline above the movie says, delivering for Scotland. What they're delivering is more ways to make us poorer. Their greed has no bounds, and as an example, we see the multiple licensing of new oil and gas projects.
I'm not going there. That fucking thing. You take your week to read that.
Yeah, when we know the industry,
I'm
just doing one paragraph. The industry that they should be backing is the renewable sector, delivering green energy, which incidentally, they go off their heads boasting about green energy all the time. If you listen to the English MPs, they love green energy, but they don't produce any.
No, that's true. But as I say, I'm afraid that fucking music's put everybody off. Thanks, Kirsten. Hey, that's awfully generous of you. Very generous of you to pop that up. Thank you very much. All goes to good causes, as you know.
I'm saying I thought he was a sound engineer.
Hey, aye, after that also and all, but after hearing that, I fucking doubt it. Anyway, folks, look that advert up. David, could you put a link to that advert in the comments?
It's in my...
Not everybody's on Facebook, David. For the YouTubers, stick it in a comment on YouTube. That way people will get a look at it. You'll be able to mute that horrible music, folks, and see what crap's being said, because we're going to have to counter it. We're going to have to counter it.
That's very important.
So now we know that Scotland has been spending their £3 million on fucking adverts to promote the union.
Yeah. There it is there, boys and girls.
Right, put a link in if you into the YouTube channel, and follow us on Facebook.
It's a link.
Follow us on Facebook. You can pick up on David Million's timeline. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what the Scotland office has been spending its money on. Right, let's move on, David. This time is moving on.
Yeah, I'm just doing this.
A Eurolink ferry bid fails due to funding problems.
Yeah, it's pretty sad actually, because you can imagine it's like I was certainly looking forward to using that at some point.
Well, initially it was going to be cargo only anyway, but it's not going ahead now, and Douglas Chapman MP will be well annoyed because he's put an awful lot of work into trying to bring this link about. Now, why has it failed?
Yeah.
It's failed because of a lack of funding, apparently, from the Scottish and UK government. Basically, probably the UK government wouldn't match the sums that the Scottish government were going to put in, so the ferry operators went, well, it's not worth their while. And Class Action says, that's a lie, Westminster does produce green energy, hot air. Thanks, Class Action, very generous of you.
Yeah, in actual fact, what we should do is we should put a big wind turbine outside the front door of the House of Commons. How's about that? That would be good.
To go back to the Eurolink, I mean, we can see it failing anyway because DFDS decided they weren't going to take the contract, and they were looking at actually having to go round the taps, go down to France for portage.
Yeah.
And apparently Dunkirk were keen on the plan, but it would need to upgrade its port a bit, and it was looking for investment for the Scottish and UK government and the French government, and the funds have not been forthcoming, so it has failed.
If the way you're looking at it, I look at it, it's just a lack of commitment. That's all it is. If there was more commitment from, say, it could be the Scottish side or the Westminster government side. If there was more commitment, then the actual operators would go fine.
Anybody wants an alternative route for Scottish transport?
Well, they don't, but we're trying to be balanced. All right.
I mean, the reason why the Westminster government won't come up with funding for a Scottish direct link to Europe is because if they do, it means the stuff doesn't have to travel into England to cross. Yeah. You know, so it's counterproductive for them. It's much better that we keep Scotland a prisoner and a captive.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, we could say that they ever asked us if we wanted the M25. We paid for it. Yeah. At the time we were hoisting 45 billion a year down that road. And that allowed them to get ahead and put as many men and all the rest of it into building the M25 that goes right the way around London with like 4, 5, and 6 lanes in places, right?
It's a road, David. So explaining. But also, the Scottish oil money also paid for the Dartford Tunnel and the Euro Tunnel. It's paid for the sewer upgrade in London. It's paid for the transport upgrade in London. It's paid for the whole of fucking London, actually, as it is now. If you want to get back to it, but as I say,
John Stewart says, I'm a proud Tory member. Do you get stamps with that, John? Eh? It's like the co-op. You get co-op stamps. After being a member.
Thanks very much. Who's this, a Tory? Oh, John. You're a proud Tory member. You must be the only one in Scotland.
John, you're entitled to your own opinion.
I'm going to assume you're not in Scotland, John. Otherwise, you'd be hiding behind your curtain saying something like that.
You're entitled to your opinion, John. That's fine. Don't worry about it.
You're right, Davey. England would prefer it to be an open-air prison. They'd like a Palestine situation. Of course they would.
Yeah.
Right, so no direct link to Europe for Scotland in the foreseeable future. Will they continue to look for an alternative operator? I hope so. Will they then get the funding required? I hope so, but I doubt it. Not as long as we're part of this bloody union. It's no beneficial for England to support a direct link to Europe from Scotland, as the direct links are otherwise on England.
Don't worry, guys. When it all falls, when the house of cards eventually falls apart,
when I will do. The man that's being a Tory, that's the first step to recovery. And replying to John Stewart, are you bragging or complaining? Okay.
John says I am in Glasgow. Well, enjoy your day trip, John.
Don't tell anybody in Glasgow you're a Tory, for Christ's sake. Okay.
We're kidding, John. You're quite entitled, mate. Don't worry about
having a joke, John. Right. If you want to be a Tory, that's your stigma to carry.
Right.
Hey, let's move on.
Anyway, after all of that, I'm going to leave you basically to do this next one, David. British Army Chief General Patrick Sanders. What does he say about World War III?
Well, what he was saying is not really much about World War III, but we'll get to that in a minute anyway. There was a debate on Call K on Thursday morning after General Sanders' speech on Wednesday, which cracked me up because a couple of weeks ago I reported what General Sanders had to say about the youth of today. Now, a couple of weeks ago, David, I think it was doing one of his shows on my own, and I explained that General Sanders, who's the Chief of the Army, he said that the reason why he needed to join the Army is because kids these days are all woke snowflakes who don't want to fight. Sounds like a plan to me. But anyway, he gives a speech on Wednesday telling us that they're going to have to put conscription in place because they've hollowed out the military forces that much that they can't protect these islands. 76,000 regular soldiers. No. So talk about conscription. Anyway, Mary McClellan, the Transport and Net Zero and Just Transition Minister here, Environment and Net Zero and Just Transition Minister, she has a go at the BBC for their flippant debate on the idea of conscription. Now, in the papers, Cliff Purvis, friend of mine, who does Veterans for Independence, he's in the National giving it, you're having a laugh, aren't you? And I'm going to tell you something right now, if I'm going out of fucking hell, I'm not going to have a bunch of conscripts up my arse. The last thing I want is somebody that doesn't want to be there with a gun in their fucking horn behind me. You know? But, what Sir General, General Saunders is telling us is that the UK military isn't fit for purpose, and Mary McClellan's telling us they're not fit to protect Scotland. Another failure of duty. But as I say, when it comes to conscription, and conscripts don't make good soldiers. Look at the IDF, they're being fucking slaughtered by Hamas. And they just don't make good soldiers. And my advice to every single parent and grandparent here, if they issue a draft, when the letter comes through the door, just write on it, no thanks, and send it back. Because if you refuse to be drafted, then there's nobody to fight their fucking wars. Their wars won't happen. And I have to commend the people of today, the young people of today, for being so woke and such snowflakes, according to General Saunders, who now wants to conscript them, that they don't want to go and kill their fellow man.
Good.
I'm telling you right now,
politicians don't have...
Now, I'm too old to be called up in an active role. I might be called up in a training role. But I'll tell you what, if I was going to that fucking war, over that hill, or into a theatre of war, the last thing I want slapped to my arse is a bunch of fucking conscripts that with 12 weeks training, no battle hardened, and no fucking idea what they're doing. I wouldn't have time in a battlefield to wipe their fucking arses.
That's also what Russia are suffering with as well, isn't it?
They don't fight. They don't want to fight. You put them in a theatre, they put their guns in, they walk home.
Yeah. I think the most important...
Right, fucking just. So I would advise every single citizen in Scotland to just say no. We don't agree with their bloody wars. It's a boss, hold on. Hey, Gaffer. Uh-huh. Aye.
Anyway, whilst David's doing that, I'm just going to say that if the politicians do not have the cannon fodder to send abroad to actually fight the wars, that will force them into a position where they have to negotiate. As simple as that. So we've never had a situation like that before, because the people of Britain have said, "Oh right, it's a war. We've got to fight for the king and country and all the rest of it." Well, what a shite! People don't want wars. People don't need wars, and it's better that we actually have a situation where our politicians do their job and make an agreement with somebody that wants to do battle, or somebody that's been like Yemen, that doesn't want to follow the rules that the idiot politicians make, where they're getting bombed. Something like that. You know, can you imagine a tiny wee country like Yemen that people were looking at as being a humanitarian disaster, and these people are getting bombed by the ships that we've sent abroad? It's no right. Anyway, right. I'm just going to wait until David comes on, because I want him to finish this section if he can. All right. Yeah.
Sorry about that, folks. I had to take that to my gaffer.
Right. All right.
And he.
Yeah. Well, I think what people do realise here is that we don't get paid for doing this. No. We have to work to actually bring money in to do it, right? So David and I have
never been in this campaign and game of broadcast and game to make money. We're in it to win it. Yeah. You know, it's an eyes and a price thing. Anyway, to be fair, the gaffer's a really nice guy.
John said, hang on, can I read that? That's marvellous, brilliant. David Mulligan, David McGinn, if Scotland became independent, it would owe England 300 billion. Source of information, that Preston journalist in the YouTube channel.
John,
good one, John. I'll tell you what to do. Send me the bill and I'll have a look at it. All right, don't worry about it, son.
David, we're not going to feed this pro. We'll just make it quite clear here. David, wait a minute. If he wants to know the truth, read the Treaty of fucking Union. We're only responsible for 10% of the debt while in the Union. The minute we leave a union, we're responsible for none of it. Westminster, the last referendum, admitted that all UK debt belongs to the Westminster Parliament and the Treasury in London. There you go, John. You've just had absolute update on what the truth is. Scotland has no debt, never had any debt, and is only responsible for 10% of debt Well, we're in this bloody union. Okay. Now, John, I don't really have time to deal with you. If you're just here to annoy us, we'll put you in the fucking naughty state.
Oh dear, was it 2.9 trillion now, is it?
Never mind, I'm not wanting to get here. Where were we? We're on a conscription. Somebody's claiming Scottish.
Basically, what I said was that whilst you were on the phone, I said that the politicians, if they do not have cannon fodder to send abroad, then what will happen is that will force them into having to negotiate with the other side. It's as simple as that. Then they'll have to do their job diplomatically and all the rest of it.
I don't have time to do what John is. Probably the bus driver. He's new in fucking Facebook making stuff up. Right, anyway, as I say, so Patrick Saunders, Sir Patrick Saunders, folks, if they decide to implement a draft, when the letters come in for your kids, tell your kids to write no thanks on it and send it straight fucking back.
Yeah, he'll be, if a war actually happens, he'll be in his nuclear hardened bunker, drinking his Moët and Chandon, smoking big cigars, while having a wee smile at seeing everybody dying, right? My thing is, if we have another war, another world war, if you survive the first 12 minutes, you've done well. All right.
Well, life expectancy for what I used to do in the army was 6 fucking minutes.
Nice. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I haven't put John in the naughty state like he's. If you're on Facebook, you still see his comments. I've just blocked him for East. I don't want David getting direct. I don't want to upset David's concentration. Right, let's move on to the Rwanda debate in Westminster and the bill that's passed, had its third reading. It's now in the House of Lords. Now, I see the European Court of Human Rights has decided that they're going to have a look at this bill and pass a ruling on it, on whether it's legal or not.
Yeah, but you've got to look at the bill and everything that's come before it is where Rishi Sunak says, Rwanda's a safe country. It's a safe country because we wrote a bill on it and it says it's a safe country. Is it hell? It's not a safe country. Rwanda, if you actually look at it, is right next door to the Democratic Republic of Congo. And they have millions of refugees due to the fighting that's taking place. And can I just show you, right? There's a Democratic Republic of Congo, and there's Rwanda. So at the end of the day, that's not safe. All right.
Anyway, we know that Rwanda is not safe. We know that this bit of paper doesn't change the fact that Rwanda is not safe. But as I said on Monday, that's how far down the rabbit hole these fucks down that road report. They're that inbred, they actually believe that they produce a bit of paper and the world will change. You know, the political elite down that road have failed. But the English people have to keep voting for them. Now, as we know, it's in the Lords, and the Lords have said they're going to try and kill it. And they've already slowed its passage down. Sunak, as I said, Monday wants flights in the air by the spring. And as we know, the Lords have just allocated themselves 2 months to debate the Rwanda bill. And that's 2 months to study it, debate it, lay amendments, and find a way to kill it. Yeah. You know, and to be fair to the House of Drunken Soufs, I mean, when it cut over this last 3 years, they have been a great fucking stopcatch for some of the nonsense it's going on down that road.
Yeah, the President Kilgary, I think he is from Rwanda. He features in the Led by Donkeys, the latest Led by Donkeys video. I do recommend that you watch it because he talks at great length about LGBTQ people, where any trans rights or anything like that at all. He's just going to give them a difficult time.
Right, and Sanders tells the Tories have been building up to war for some time. No, they haven't. They've slashed the military budget. The Navy's fucked, the Air Force is fucked, the Army's fucked. There isn't military here. It's no even. I wouldn't even class it as a defence force because there's not enough to defend the borders. So I don't think there'll ever be a plane takes to the air. But some of the contributions in that debate were disgusting. You know,
dreadful, absolutely dreadful. You know. The mere thought that you're going to take that wee toady number of people and send them to another country to make a political gesture. How dare they? How dare they?
Would demonise somebody, isn't it? It's their culture wars. So, and thanks to their culture wars, we know that racism is at an all-time high.
Yeah.
You know. But as I say, the bill probably won't ever pass. There probably will never be a flight take to the air. So that's £500 million pissed up against the wall, and some free housing that's already been built in Rwanda.
I think the least said about this man, the better. But it's a bit like when Trump was in power. He gave the Americans almost the permission to be the worst versions of themselves. We now have an English government that is effectively giving the English people the opportunity to be the worst version of themselves.
Yay! Right, let's move on. PMQs. I know you didn't see it, David. I'm not going to get it. There was all other place. But basically what's happened is it's got to mudslinging. You know, they're personally attacking each other now on their records, on their previous employment, that sort of thing. So Starmer's getting it. He's not good as a Prime Minister because his previous work was a lawyer. Sunak's getting it. He's not good as Prime Minister because his previous work was a banker.
Is Sunak and Jimmy Savile yet? No.
Starmer brings up Sunak profiteering out of the banking crisis and all that crap. So it's getting personal. This is going to be a really, really dirty election campaign. And but for me, the most interesting question was Tahir Ali, who accused the PM of having blood on his hands over his Gaza stance, and I see he's had to make an apology in the Commons today for that remark. Stephen Flynn also went on the PM stance in Gaza. You know, he went at it for a humanitarian angle. And Sunak stood to, we need a humanitarian pause to give us a method to get to a sustainable ceasefire crap. Basically just bollocks, kicking into the long grass. And I see in an interview, Sir Starmer was asked about a Palestinian man who was bare-chested, carrying a white flag, who got shot by an Israeli soldier. And Sir Keir Starmer was asked, is that a war crime? And he denied that it was a war crime. Shooting anybody under a flag of truce is a war crime.
Shooting anybody outside of a war situation is, even if it was a mistake, it's still manslaughter. Right. You still go to court, you know, so simple as that.
So, all in all, Prime Minister's was his usual pantomime. I haven't seen First Ministers for the day. I'll have a look at it later.
Mark, your comment is well made. Yes, we know he crashed banks. We know that he is guilty of insider trading, and I'll say that quite openly on the YouTube channel, right? Sunak and two of his accomplices effectively brought down the Royal Bank of Scotland. Royal Bank of Scotland.
Royal Bank.
And you know that's dreadful. And we now have the man as Prime Minister of our country. We can't avoid that. We might see ourselves as Scottish, but we are still ruled by that lot down the road.
David, can you keep the country back? It's not a country; it's a fucking union.
No, all right, okay.
No, it's important we make these distinctions. If we start doing the sloppy stuff like the mainstream media, The reason why we're in the condition we're in the now is because the mainstream media convincing people that the UK is a country or a nation rather than.
I've just rewound what I said. What I said was we have Rishi Sunak as Prime Minister of our country, meaning Scotland. We're inside this. So I didn't say the UK was a country.
What you have for that one then? Yeah, well, I plan was to get ready for Starmageddon. Thanks, Josie.
Oh, laughing, but it's no funny.
The strikes in Yemen and Palestine, the PM's address to the Parliament. I don't know if you've seen it, David, but I have never seen anything so ridiculous in all my life. Where he claimed that the US and UK action against Yemen had nothing to do with the ongoing genocide in Gaza. Now, as we all know, when the Houthis started targeting ships, no matter which banners they were flying under, whether they were British registered, whether they be, say, Turkish registered, let's say they were American registered, if they were carrying goods to Israel or carrying goods from Israel, that's who the Houthis were attacking. And when they started their campaign, they made it clear to the world that if there is a ceasefire in Gaza, we will cease harassing traffic in the Red Sea. Now, rather than the UK and the US take note of what the Houthis and what the Yemenis had said, and put pressure on Israel to stop the slaughter in Gaza, what they did was they turned on the poorest nation on the planet for protecting or for trying to shield the most oppressed nation on the planet by bringing about an economic disaster for Israel, which would force them to stop the fighting because they made the financer.
I've said it before. Israel are burning at $250 million per week. That's the cost to that small economy, right? And they cannot keep that up without America blooming shoving money in the bank, right? And at the moment, Biden and Blinken and who's the other guy, the defence guy, I forget at the moment, they're all up for blooming going to trial for aiding and abetting in a genocide. You know,
the US signed up to the convention. You know, so but this young lady here sums it up perfectly, David. So I'm going to play it.
Right.
Dr. Francois, I mean, there are many who are saying that, frankly, the Biden administration should have acted sooner and faster, that hundreds of billions of dollars has been put at risk because the Houthis have held this area in the Red Sea at ransom.
Sorry, so just let me get this straight, Yalda. So we are bombing the poorest, one of the poorest countries in the world that has been under a humanitarian blockade. There has been famine. These people have been decimated. And we are bombing them because a couple of guys in dinghies in support for the Palestinians who are having a genocide committed against them. They're objecting to that and we're bombing them. Come on now. I mean, this is just an insane world for us to even think. I'm so sorry your Amazon packages are delayed. I really am. Like, I wish mine came on time. But, you know, genocide, guys, genocide. There are 2 mothers a day dying in Gaza right now. It's 109 days into a conflict in which a humanitarian crisis has been declared to the world day in, day out.
By the way, Dr.
So,
I'll just interview that. Alistair, thank you. That's £10 he's given.
The young ladies.
What that lady said was absolutely perfect. It really was. It's like, I've just ordered a pair of socks from Amazon, and it's like they haven't got here in 2 weeks. I'm disgusted. What the hell? What are you doing? People are dying. People are actually dying, losing their lives. There's children getting arms and legs and all the rest of it women cut off without any medication whatsoever. And it's like, we're worried about women stuff getting delivered like that.
Well, that was it. I raised this point on Monday as well, David. And to be honest, what that lasses just said in Sky, I said on Monday on our show. Right? And that is we're attacking the poorest people in the world for protecting the most oppressed people in the world. In the name of trade. Now, the other point I made on Monday, and I know you've got to add to this when it comes to insurance companies, and that is, why the fuck are we trying to protect private enterprise? They've got all the fucking money, let them hire their own security.
Right. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's like we're actually talking about corporate wars here when it comes to it, right? However, the Houthis have done the trick. They've done the job. Because what's happened is that none of these blooming big shipping companies like Maersk or whatever are going up the Red Sea because the insurance companies are going, no, fuck away. You go up there, you're on your own. When you end up at the bottom of that ocean or that sea, then you're on your own. You're not getting paid out for it, right? And also, the men that actually work on these blooming boats, they've all got their own personal insurance, and their own personal insurance will not cover them for an instance like that. So as far as I'm concerned, well done the Houthis, well done, because you've taken out the US and the UK in one stroke, one simple stroke. I'm sorry to hear that we bombed you for doing that. That shouldn't have happened. Call me a traitor, if you like, for being against my own navy, but that is wrong. That is dead wrong.
It's not your navy. It's a corporate fucking navy. They've just screwed it.
Oh, I know it. Yeah.
I watched Jamie Hepburn on Independence Live yesterday. Thanks, Nathan. Maybe get them on ourselves.
Yeah. That seriously would be a good thing for you to do, is actually take on interviewing a few folk whilst I'm away, getting myself fixed and doing this particular project that I've got to do.
Oh man, time and communication, David. I mean, as you point to do, there's still other things in life that we've got to go on with.
Yeah, I know. Appreciate that. So,
you see, this idea that we're bombing Yemen to protect world trade can fuck off. I'm going to wait a wee bit longer and fight a wee bit more.
I can assure you, if I was a ship's captain in charge of one of these blooming boats that's carrying stuff, right, I would look at it and I'd go, I don't care how accurate your shooting is, Mr. USA and Mr. UK. I'm not taking the chance. I'm not taking the chance, right? Something like that. I've got a boat costing 100 million, whatever it costs, and I've got men that have got families and women, all the babies and all the rest of it, right? And I've got to deal with their safety before I take stuff up that woman Red Sea. That.
Apparently, no country in the world will get independence from these days forward. Is that right, Alan? We'll see about
that. Right. Okay. Fine.
But this idea that we'll get armies, nation state armies getting involved to protect trade. But we've seen it with the Somali pirates. Now we're seeing it in the Red Sea. Yeah. And once again, the public are paying for corporates. Why are we paying for corporates? They've got more fucking money than our governments. They can afford their own armies, their own fucking navies.
Well, you're looking at it now where if somebody joins, say, the army or the navy, can they honestly, hand in heart, say they're not going to be used to fill some bastard's pockets?
No.
Of course they are. They're going to get used for financial gain by those that we look at and we go, they're not going to see anything that happens with this, right? It's not going to help me or my family or any of my friends.
Right? Since the first Iraq war, going forward, every single conflict's been about resources.
Yeah.
Afghanistan, for minerals for making batteries. Right now, Gaza, Israel wants the oil and gas wealth. Iraq, oil and gas. Syria, oil and gas.
Yeah, big oil line coming right across to one of the main deep ports. And the Americans, you didn't hear about this in the BBC or ITV or Sky. The Americans bombed that port just after October the 7th, because the big aircraft carrier was handy, and they could just sail it up the north up the Mediterranean and actually hit Syria.
And that's a wee bit harsh, but you're right. There are more people in Africa what there is in the UK. But and to be fair, the UK, the Westminster government has repeatedly run down the armed services, even though they seem to be increasing the budget all the time. The generals want their pockets full of cash.
Hang on. Are you reading on Africa has more bodies to fight? Britain has people that don't know if they're male or female.
That's the matter with reading, David, because it's just silly stuff. I'm not getting into a gender argument with anybody.
Just move it aside.
If you want to identify as lampposts, that's up to them. As I've said many times, I identify as a wardrobe because I think clothes up myself. You know.
Trump, Sunak, Biden, and Starmer.
I thank you for cheering us right up here. Well, get your music folks out, boy. In the debate who are striking Yemen, what was interesting was every man Jack in their dug except for the SNP was blaming Iran. It's all Iran's fault.
Don't get me wrong, I don't like Iran for what they did with the women, right? Well, if you remember a while back, we actually had protests going on, but wearing the hijab, all that sort of thing, right? But see what it takes Iran and Turkey to bring these idiots into blooming any kind of sensibility.
Yeah, I think they're doing is driving Turkey out of the NATO pack.
Yeah,
they really are.
Yeah. You look at Turkey; they've got a serious fighting force. They might not have Hollywood to make them look glorious, but they've got a serious fighting force.
But as I say, I don't want to get into the gender rubbish. But as I say, what was interesting about that debate, David, if you watched any, everybody blamed Iran. So it would appear that Iran's going to be the next big target, and that really could kick off World War III. Because as we know, Iran, the Soviet Union, are all part of the BRICS organisation. And of course, Turkey is basically being shoved into the hands of the Soviet Union at this point in time because of the behaviour of America and the United Kingdom.
Yeah, well, look at the Bosphorus.
Is it? Folks are there. Now, when you've got a point about BlackRock buying things up, but you've got to remember when you're talking about BlackRock and asset management companies like that, the third biggest asset management company on the planet is based here in Scotland. And that's Aberdeen Asset Management and Scottish Widows, who amalgamated last year or the year before, creating the third biggest asset management company on the planet. So and asset management companies, they buy up facilities like airports and things like that.
Well, if there's a war in the offing, it'll be raw materials that they're buying up. Same as before the Second World War.
You can see that. It's funny how there's always money for war, isn't it? We've got 14 million people living in poverty, 1 million children living in destitution. We've got food banks proliferating like fuck. We can afford to whack the Houthis with 300 to 1,000 pound missiles a pop.
I know. We need for the normal, ordinary Joe public to just go, no doing it.
That was the other thing. That was the other thing, of course, is we know Starmer's went back on his pledge to always have a vote in Parliament before action is taken. Now, of course, sounds like a great idea, but it's no, because if you're debating going to war in Parliament, then you give the person you're going to go to war with the fucking heads up. But parliamentarians are the government, especially at this point in time in Westminster, they're not the brightest. And Starmer they want to have a vote before getting into action. Well, you know, if that's the case, let's not have the parliamentarians have a vote. Let's put it to the fucking people on a referendum.
Yeah, good idea. Because the last Iraq war, we all watched on TV, and the final speech before the vote was Hilary Benn, who was the son of Anthony Wedgwood Benn, right, who stood in the Labour benches and basically argued for us to go to war.
Aye, we know.
And that's why asking the House of Commons to vote on whether we go to war, they're all warmongers. They all blooming own shares and blooming armament companies and all the rest of it. Right? So tell them.
I want to address this one for Rainbows because he says you can't make money from poverty. Tell that to the Trussell Trust.
Yes.
Right, so how we doing for time? Oh, we're just there, but we'll finish off on Ukraine and the plane crash. Now, apparently, a plane's been shot down carrying 65 Ukrainian prisoners of war back to Ukraine for a prisoner exchange. And on its way there, it's been shot down. Now,
did the families know, David? Did the families know that the men were coming back?
I don't know. The information I've been reading didn't state. It did state the families are angry. But now the thing is, Ukraine's blaming Russia, Russia's blaming Ukraine, but in this case I think it was actually Ukraine. Because apparently the Ukrainians weren't able to keep that airspace safe, that there was a prisoner exchange flight coming through. So there's every chance that the Ukrainians actually blew this one out of the sky. So it's being investigated at the moment. But when you get to Ukraine, we're talking about Putin being ready to sit down and negotiate or dictate terms to Ukraine. And we're also talking about Putin getting ready for a major offensive in the spring. He's used the winter to build up again his armaments and that. But what you want? He promised that apparently Russia was going for a big push last spring and all, and it never happened. So we'll see what happens. We know the Russian economy is in fucking meltdown, same as the UK economy. In fact, the Russian economy is the only one in the G20 that's doing any worse than the UK. So we'll get Russia at the bottom of the pile, followed by the UK. And they're talking about war.
Well, Putin's got to shit or get off the pot, hasn't he? Really? Yeah. Right, we're going to finish up there. I'm just going to give you one verse, a Robbie Burns. Therefore your honest sonsy face, great chieftain o' the puddin' race, aboon them ye attack your place, page tripe or them, weel are your worthy of a grace, as long as my arm. Enjoy your haggis tonight, boys and girls.
And you're right, Nathan, there isn't a Soviet Union anywhere. I beg your pardon, it's the Russian Federation. Anyway,
Russian Federation.
That's one run, David. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Viewing figures 231 between the two platforms, absolutely wonderful. If you're on YouTube, hit like and share across your social media platforms, please. Same if you're on Facebook, hit like, share across your social media platforms, please. All the likes help the algorithm. That means there's more money at the end of each month they want it to food banks. And we want to thank you all very much for tuning in today. And I just leaves one thing left today, David.
No, hang on. Before we go, I'm just going to say one thing. Guys, I'm sorry I've let you down. I really am. And I'm sorry I've let my pal down because he's had to try and shoulder everything that's going on with this channel. So hopefully better things in the future.
Aye, David, we're going to be absent with leave for a wee while to come, so we'll just take it. We'll just date as it goes, all right?
Believe it or not, I'm actually getting the gymnasium. We have a dining room in our house. I'm getting it changed into a gymnasium so I can build my legs back up again. We're finished, so there you go. Anyway, right, bye guys.
Have a good night, everybody. Bye then.